I found a tick on my dog's neck 3 years ago, buried in deep, just behind the jaw, close enough to the ear that I almost missed it entirely. I needed tweezers and a flashlight, and about 10 minutes of patience to get it out without leaving the head behind. She didn't flinch. She had no idea it was there, and neither did I until I ran my hand along her neck that evening and felt something small and hard that should not have been there. I sat on the kitchen floor afterward and looked up what a single tick can carry: Lyme disease, anaplasmosis, ehrlichiosis, Rocky Mountain spotted fever. I had been letting her run that yard every evening for 2 years without thinking about it once. That was the night I decided to fix it. And I want to be clear about what I mean by fix, because I did not call a spray company. I built a system out of about $60 in materials that has kept my dog and my yard tick-free for 3 full seasons. Every piece of it is safe for her, safe for the birds, safe for the soil. I'm going to show you the whole thing. Now, before I tell you who I am, let me tell you who I didn't call. The pest control company in my town charges $200 a visit for tick treatment. They come once a month from April through October, and they spray a broad-spectrum pesticide across the entire yard. Every blade of grass, every shrub, every inch of soil. It kills ticks. It does. But it also kills the things that eat ticks: ground-nesting birds, beneficial insects, and the one animal most people don't realize is doing more tick control than any company on Earth, which I'll tell you about later, because that part made me angry when I learned it. The spray creates a dependency. Kill everything, and nothing remains to hold the tick population in check naturally. So when the spray wears off, the ticks come back to a yard with no predators waiting for them. Monthly bill, monthly spray, monthly problem. Nobody in that arrangement needs to be dishonest for it to work out badly for you and well for them. My name is Kenji Tanaka. I've kept this property for 11 years. There's a tree line along the back and a brushy strip on the east side that I share with a neighbor who does not maintain his. That's tick country, and if you've got anything like it behind your house, you already know. My dog's name is Hana. She runs this yard every evening, spring through fall. She has not had a tick on her in 3 years, and she is not on any chemical tick prevention. I'm not recommending you take your dog off whatever your vet has them on. I'm telling you what I did with the yard so the ticks don't make it to her in the first place. Before I show you the method, I want to mention something once because it matters, and then I won't bring it up again. There are far more methods than I can fit into a single video. I wrote them all down in a book. It's on my website. Links just below this video. I won't mention it again. If it interests you, it's there. So let me show you the one thing that changes how you think about this entire problem. Because once you see it, you'll understand why spraying the whole yard is the wrong answer and why a $60 system works better. Ticks do not come from everywhere. They come from the edge. This strip right here, where mowed lawn meets unmaintained brush or leaf litter or woods, is where nearly all residential tick encounters start. Not the middle of your yard, not your patio, not the tree canopy. The edge. A tick does something called questing. It climbs to the top of a blade of grass or a low branch, extends its front legs, and waits. It can wait for days. When a warm body brushes past, it grabs on. It does not jump, it does not fly. It does not fall from trees, and I'll come back to that because half the people watching this believe it does. What triggers the grab is carbon dioxide and body heat. You exhale, your dog exhales, and the tick reads that plume from several feet away. It can't aim, it can't chase you. All it can do is wait at the edge of the grass with its arms out and hope something warm walks close enough to touch. That means 2 things for you. First, the problem has a border. It's geographic. It lives in a specific strip of your property, and that strip can be defended. Second, a tick that's 10 feet into a mowed, open lawn is a tick that's 10 feet from where it wants to be, with no cover and no moisture, drying out in the sun. They almost never make it. The spray company treats your entire yard because that's what justifies the invoice. I defend the border because that's where the ticks actually are. One of those approaches costs $1,400 a season. The other costs about $60, and it gets cheaper every year because the landscape work compounds. Let me show you the 5 layers. You can do all of them this weekend. Layer 1 costs nothing, and it does more than any product you can buy. You change the ground. Ticks need 3 things to survive: shade, moisture, and a host to feed on. A mowed, sun-exposed lawn denies them the first 2, which is why you almost never pick up a tick from the middle of a maintained yard. They're in the margins. The leaf litter, the brush pile, the overgrown fence line, the stack of old firewood sitting in the shade. Here's the Saturday. Mow your lawn tight, especially the last 3 feet before any wooded or brushy edge. Clear leaf litter from under shrubs and along fence lines. Move brush piles out of shade and into sun, or get rid of them entirely. Trim back any overhanging branches that are keeping the ground moist and dark. Stack firewood in a dry, sunny spot, off the ground if you can manage it. I know this sounds basic. It is basic. And it is the single most effective thing you can do. The CDC lists landscape modification as their #1 recommendation for residential tick control, ahead of any chemical, any powder, any spray. You are not killing ticks with this step. You are making your yard a place they do not want to be. And a tick that doesn't want to be in your yard is a tick that never reaches your dog. There's a specific area most people miss entirely. The strip under the deck. It's shaded, it holds moisture, leaf litter blows in and sits there for months, and your dog probably lies under there on hot afternoons. Rake it out, let the sun in where you can, and dust it with what I'm going to show you in Layer 3. Layer 2 is the physical wall. A 3-foot wide strip of cedar chips laid between your lawn and any wooded or brushy edge. This does 2 things at the same time. First, it creates a hot, dry zone that ticks will not cross. Ticks are extremely sensitive to desiccation. They survive in moist, shaded leaf litter because their bodies lose water rapidly in open, dry conditions. A 3-foot strip of wood chips in full sun gets hot enough on a summer afternoon that a tick attempting to cross it will dehydrate before it reaches the other side. It's a physical barrier that requires no chemical and no maintenance beyond topping it up once a year. Second, and this is why I use cedar specifically instead of any other wood chip, cedar contains natural oils that ticks find genuinely repellent. Cedarwood oil disrupts their sensory system. Lab studies have shown that concentrated cedar oil repels and kills tick nymphs on direct contact. The chips aren't as concentrated as a spray, but they don't need to be. They're releasing a low, steady dose of that oil all season long, and that scent is one more reason for a tick to turn around before it ever reaches the grass. The CDC recommends wood chips or gravel as a barrier between maintained lawn and wooded areas. I use cedar because it does the barrier job and the repellent job in the same material. A bag of cedar chips runs somewhere between $4 and $6 at most garden centers. I use about 5 bags for my tree line, so call it $25. It lasts a full season before it breaks down enough to need refreshing. That's $25 a year to hold the line that a spray company charges $1,400 to cross. One note: don't pile it too deep. 2 to 3 inches is the range you want. Too thin, and it won't create a sufficient dry zone. Too deep, and it holds moisture underneath, which defeats the purpose. Spread it even, keep it in the sun where possible, and let it do the work. And here's a detail most people don't think about. If you have a path that cuts through the barrier, a gate, a trail to the compost pile, whatever breaks the line, that gap is where ticks will cross. They aren't smart enough to go looking for gaps, but they don't need to be. A deer walks through, ticks drop off at the gap, and now they're inside the perimeter. Close the gaps. Run the cedar chips across any path that isn't hardscape, or lay a section of gravel where the path meets the lawn. A barrier with a hole in it is a suggestion, not a wall. Layer 3 is the targeted kill. Diatomaceous earth, food grade. About $10 for a bag that will last you the whole season. DE is a powder made from the fossilized remains of microscopic aquatic organisms called diatoms. Under a microscope, each particle has tiny sharp edges. When a tick walks through it, those edges score the waxy coating on the outside of its body. That coating is what keeps moisture in. Once it's damaged, the tick dehydrates and dies, usually within a few hours. It's mechanical, not chemical. There's no poison, no residue that builds up, no compound that enters the food chain. It's safe for pets, safe for kids, safe for birds. Your dog can walk through it, lie in it, even eat a small amount of it without harm. That's why I use it in the spots Hannah spends the most time. Where to put it? Under the deck, along the foundation of the house, around wood piles, in the gap between your porch and the ground, under outdoor furniture that sits in shade. Any sheltered, dry spot where ticks might harbor between feedings. Dust it lightly. You want a visible coating, not a pile. A pile is waste, and it can actually be counterproductive, because ticks will walk around it rather than through it. Now here's the honest limitation, and I want you to hear this before you put it down. Diatomaceous earth only works when it is dry. Rain washes it away. Morning dew neutralizes it. High humidity reduces its effectiveness. And the places where ticks live, shaded, moist leaf litter, are exactly the conditions where DE stops working. That's why DE is layer 3, not layer 1. It's a targeted tool for dry, sheltered spots. It is not a yard-wide solution, and anyone selling it as one is over-promising. I use it where I know it stays dry, and I reapply after any heavy rain. It supplements the system. It does not replace it. Layer 4 is the active repellent, and if you watched my video on mosquitoes, you'll recognize the tool. Same pump-up garden sprayer. Same method. Different target. You buy a bottle of cedar oil concentrate. There are several brands at the hardware store and online. Dilute it to somewhere between 1 and 3% in your sprayer, depending on what the label says. Fill the tank, pump it up, and spray. Where you spray matters more than how much you spray. You are not covering the whole yard. You are spraying the transition zone, the same strip we've been talking about this entire video. The perimeter vegetation, the leaf litter at the tree line, the base of the fence, the low branches that overhang the barrier, the shaded side of any outbuilding. Spray the underside of leaves and the base of stems. That's where ticks rest during the day. A light, even mist. You're not soaking the ground, you're coating the surfaces ticks sit on. Cedar oil repels ticks on contact, and in concentrated form it kills nymphs. It's safe for pets once it dries, which takes about 30 minutes. It will not harm your grass, your soil, or the pollinators in your garden. It smells like cedar, which is to say it smells like a closet your grandmother had. And that's the worst thing I can say about it. How long does it last? 7 to 14 days, depending on weather. A heavy rain resets it, and you'll want to reapply. In practice, I spray twice a month during peak tick season, May through August, and it takes me about 40 minutes to do my whole perimeter. A bottle of concentrate runs about $15 to $20 and lasts most of the season. Compare that to one visit from the spray truck. Layer 5 is the one that targets the life cycle, and it's the one that surprised me most when I first learned about it. Ticks don't just appear. They have a host cycle, and the most important host in that cycle, the one that matters most for Lyme disease, is mice. A juvenile tick, called a nymph, feeds on mice. That's where most nymphs pick up the Lyme bacterium in the first place. The infected nymph then molts into an adult, feeds on a deer or a dog or a person, and passes the disease along. If you break the connection between tick and mouse, you break the cycle at its weakest point. Tick tubes are cardboard tubes filled with cotton that's been treated with permethrin. You place them near stone walls, brush piles, wood stacks, anywhere mice nest. The mice find the cotton, take it back to their nests, and the permethrin kills the ticks feeding on the mice. The mice themselves are not harmed by permethrin at these concentrations. You can buy them ready-made, or you can make your own with toilet paper rolls and cotton balls treated with a permethrin spray from the hardware store. Either way, you place them twice a year. Once in late spring when nymphs are feeding. Once in late summer when larvae are active. About a dozen tubes covers a quarter acre, and a box runs around $25 to $30. This is the quietest layer in the whole system. You set them and forget them. But over 2 seasons, it's the one that reduces the tick population itself, rather than just repelling the adults. 2 things I want to correct before we go further, because both of them change what you do in your yard. First, ticks do not fall from trees. I have had this argument with 4 separate neighbors, and I will have it with you right now. Ticks quest from ground level or low vegetation, rarely higher than knee height. They climb up, not down. When you walk through tall grass and find one on your thigh, it didn't drop from a branch, it grabbed your ankle and climbed. The tree canopy is not your problem. The grass line is. Second, opossums are not pests. A single opossum kills an estimated 5,000 ticks per season. They are meticulous groomers and they eat nearly every tick that latches onto them. They are one of the most effective natural tick predators in North America. And they are working your yard for free every night while you sleep. The broad-spectrum spray that the pest company puts down kills opossums' food sources and poisons the environment they move through. You are paying someone to remove the best tick control you already had. That's the part that made me angry when I learned it. And it's the reason I will not call a spray company. I want to be straight with you about where this system has limits, because I'd rather you hear it from me than find out on your own. If you live in a heavy Lyme disease zone with deep woods on 3 sides and a serious existing infestation, the first season may not be enough. The system compounds over time. Year 1, you're building the layers. Year 2, the landscape modification has changed the habitat, the tick tubes have dented the population, and the barrier is established. Year 3 is where I am now, and I'm maintaining, not fighting. If your situation is severe, a single professional treatment to knock the population down in year 1, followed by this system for maintenance, is a reasonable choice. I'd rather you do that than skip the system entirely because it didn't solve everything by Saturday. Also, nothing I've shown you replaces checking yourself and your pets after being in tick habitat. Run your hands through your dog's coat after every walk. Check yourself after yard work. The system reduces the population on your property. It does not make you invincible in the woods. I want to leave you with one thought and then I'll give you the weekend plan. A yard where everything has been sprayed is a yard where nothing moves. No ground beetles, no fireflies, no opossums crossing through at midnight, eating every tick they find. It's quiet in a way that doesn't feel peaceful once you understand what's missing. A yard with a system like this one still has life in it. The predators are still there. The soil biology is still working. The birds are still nesting. And the ticks, the ones that made it past the barrier and the spray and the tubes, have something waiting for them at the other end that no chemical company can replicate. The ecosystem is the last layer. You don't buy it and you don't build it. You just stop killing it and it shows up on its own. Here's your weekend, and it's one day if you start in the morning. Mow your lawn tight, especially the last few feet at every edge. Clear leaf litter, brush piles, and anything holding shade and moisture against the ground. Rake under the deck. That's layer 1, and it's free. Lay a 3-foot strip of cedar chips along every edge where your lawn meets woods or brush. About $25 in material. Dust diatomaceous earth under the deck, along the foundation, around wood piles, and any dry sheltered spot your dog uses. About $10. Fill a pump sprayer with diluted cedar oil and spray the perimeter vegetation, fence line, and transition zone. About $15 for the concentrate. Place tick tubes near stone walls, brush edges, and wood piles. Once now, once again in late summer. About $25. Total is about $60 to $70. And next year, it drops to about $30 because the barrier just needs topping up and the concentrate carries over. Compare that to $1,400 a year from the spray company and decide which version of the math you'd rather live with. Tell me in the comments where you live and how bad the ticks are this year. I read everyone. And if you've got a dog, tell me what you're doing right now, because I'd like to know what's working in your part of the country. Next time I'll show you the mowing height adjustment that took me 3 seasons to unlearn, and why the number printed on your mower deck is measuring something different than you think it is. Until then, check your dog tonight. Run your hand along the jaw and behind the ears. It takes 30 seconds, and it matters more than anything else in this video.